Hi everyone, Greeno here, and where am I today? Well, I'm back in Dorset. I'm in Poole, and today I've come to Miller and Carter. Now this is a fairly well-known chain of steak restaurants that do bits and bobs of other stuff as well. Never been here before, not even to eat myself, so first time, we'll give it a try. Now, before we get in there, I just want to address one little thing. I've had a few comments recently on the channel saying that I'm a kind of a Gary Eats copycat, that sort of thing, or that I'm just trying to pinch ideas from him. I have got absolutely no idea what any of you are talking about. So, now we've nipped that in the bud, it's time to get inside. Come on, let's give it a go. Well then guys, so we've been seated in the restaurant here and it looks very, very nice in here. They've got loads of wine selection there, nice bar area around here, and all the tables are done very, very nicely. Very, very helpful waiting staff as well, very, very chatty. Wondering what I was up to in the car park, wandering around with my camera first. But we've had a bit of a chat and a bit of a laugh about that, so it's all good. Anyway, onto the menus. Now we've been given a main menu here, which is their all day kind of menu. Lots of different stuff on there, different cuts of steak, different sides with it, different sauces. Really, really interesting menu. But they also have a prefix lunch menu, which is what me and Mrs. Greeno are going to order from today. Now this, 2 courses, $16.75, or 3 courses, $19.75, which I think is pretty good value, to be honest, for a place like this. So, what have we ordered? Well, we've only ordered the starters and the mains so far. Mrs. Greeno's gone for some calamari, and I've gone for some sticky chicken as a starter with a sort of chipotle glaze. That should be interesting. Main courses, Mrs. Greeno's gone for a char-grilled chicken breast. She doesn't like steak, so probably not the best place to bring her, in honesty. But that comes with some baby potatoes, some broccoli, and a mushroom with white wine and creme fraiche sauce. Maybe she's ordered that on purpose so that I don't try and eat too much of it. I've gone for a steak myself. We've gone with a rump steak. We're going to have it cooked medium. Now, normally I'd have my steak cooked a little bit less than that, but it recommends medium on the menu, so that's what we're going to do. Going to have that with some fries, and I've ordered a béarnaise sauce on the side, which is an extra £1.95. That doesn't seem expensive to me for a sauce. So, the orders are in. I've got myself a drink. Look at this. A raspberry soda. Lovely pink beverage, little bits of dried raspberry floating in the top. Very butch. Tasty though. Right, it's starting to busy up in here a little bit, so we're having to change the angle a little bit so we're not getting people in the background, that sort of thing. Starters have arrived, so we have the calamari here. We'll take a little look at this. Looks nicely fried. Very nicely presented in this little metal tin. Onto a bit of lemon and some kind of dipping sauce. And here we have the sticky chipotle chicken. So it looks like there's kind of skewered bits of chicken by the looks of it. A little sauce here as well. Just a fairly simple starter, nothing too big, nothing too much. But it is on a fixed price menu, so you only expect to get a small starter, and you don't want to fill up too much before the main course anyway, do you? So, what are we going to start with? I think we'll go with the calamari. Now, this is what Mrs. Greeno has ordered, so I'm not going to go mad with it, but we'll just try a little bit. So, quite nicely fried, little battered little bits of calamari here. We'll try it on its own first, and then we'll dip one in the sauce. Very nice crispy coating on there. Obviously been deep fried, so you can pick up that kind of oily flavour. Possibly do with a little bit of seasoning, but we do have some lemon here, so I'll just do a little squeeze of lemon on the top. Oh, the pip came out. And we'll dip into this little creamy sauce. I don't know if it's like a tartar sauce or something along those kind of lines. I think it says, oh, it's a lemon aioli dip. That's what that is. So a little bit of lemon, a little bit of garlic in there. Or quite a lot of garlic in there, perhaps. Really good flavour though. Nice and creamy. And the calamari itself is nice. And it looks like a decent portion, to be fair. So Mrs. Greeno will be getting stuck into that now. Okay, time to move on to my starter here, this sticky chipotle chicken. So how many pieces of chicken have we got here? We've got a little bit of kind of erroneous greenery. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of this chicken. But it's a fairly good sized piece of chicken there, so that's quite nice. Cut it open and have a little look. It's glazed and with a dip as well here as well. So I think it's maybe chicken thigh by the looks of it. It looks nicely cooked though, nice crispy coating on there. Very, very sweet sauce, like a sweet chilli kind of sauce, but with a little bit of fire to it. Like I say, it's got a kind of crispy coating on the outside there. And chicken itself is still nice and soft inside. Let's see what this sauce is all about, whether it's just more of whatever's glazed on the top. I guess it probably is. Yeah. And it's nice and sweet, a little bit of fire to it, a little bit of smoky flavour. And it is a nice sized little portion just for a starter. So far, pretty impressed. Right, so I think those starters were a success. Mrs. Greeno really enjoyed both of them, as did I. Very, very good start. Let's hope the main courses match up. So, do you know what? I can't believe how busy this place is. We've come here on a Tuesday lunchtime, so we're outside of the school holidays, no kids about or whatever, and I can see one empty table at this point. It's really busy in here. The starters probably give an indication as to why. The food quality has been very nice so far, and that fixed price menu is not overpriced from what we've had so far anyway. So perhaps that's why people are coming in for a reasonably priced lunch in a slightly nicer location than you might normally go. Service has been impeccable so far. The guy who's serving us is very chatty, very talkative, he's buzzing around everywhere. He's being the same with everyone, he's not giving us any special treatment because he's seen I've got a camera. Really, really good with everyone. I'm impressed so far. Okay, our main courses have arrived, and I have to say, they look pretty good. And the smell coming off of this, particularly this chicken dish, there's a lovely charring on the chicken skin here, which you can see. Very, very nice. And that's giving a really nice aroma. Now, as we know, this sauce has got mushrooms in it, so I'm going to have to go a little bit careful in trying it, but we'll give it a go. Potatoes, just little baby potatoes here. Nice texture. I think they might have been cooked then microwaved again, but they're not too bad. The chicken, I'm going to cut into this and have a look inside. It feels nice and moist to cut. It does feel nice and moist. As you can see there, it's cutting very, very nicely. Let's dip it in that sauce. We'll try and avoid the mushrooms where we can. I don't mind mushroom flavour, it's the texture that really gets me. And they're all cut up really, really small into this sauce. So as you can see, there's a little bit of mushroom there, but we're going to be brave. That chicken is so soft, really, really tender inside. That's that charring on the outside, gives it a tiny little crisp and loads of flavour. Even the sauce, I'll say it's a mushroomy kind of creme fraiche sauce. It's very, very tasty. I'm glad the mushrooms are chopped up nice and small. Yeah, that is a nice plate of food and a good sized portion for a little lunch, I think. Mrs. Greeno's lunch is a success. She's going to enjoy that, I'm sure. This is what I've got here. So we've got the rump steak. It's a very nice thick piece of steak. Doesn't look the biggest in terms of surface area, but it's a nice chunky piece of steak. So I'm looking forward to that. We've got a little pan here of the béarnaise sauce, which looks nice. This, apparently, is called an onion loaf. It looks a bit like a long, thin onion bhaji, to be honest with you. I got a char-grilled tomato there and a portion of chips. Now the first thing we need to do with these chips is decant this onto the plate so that we can see how many we've got. Is it a good portion? It is a good portion. Look at that. Nice skin on fries. Very, very crispy on the outside. That's really, really tasty. So, let's try the different elements on the dish here. I'm intrigued by this onion loaf. See if I can bring that round to the front so you can see it a bit better. Very, very crispy, kind of like battered onion in there. So we'll cut a bit of that off. We'll have a look inside. Yeah, so it kind of looks a bit like an onion bhaji, doesn't it? But I doubt it's going to have that bhaji spicing in there. A little greasy on the bottom perhaps, but it is deep fried. It's pretty much as I expected. It tastes a bit like an onion bhaji, but without the Indian spicing in there. It's a little bit different to having onion rings. That kind of flavour, but a slightly more interesting presentation. We've got a very small piece of tomato here, but it looks nicely cooked. Let's give that a try. Very juicy. And nicely cooked. A bit cold, but the texture of it is right. So, I really should be eating this steak, shouldn't I? Let's cut it open and see how it is in the middle. I've asked them to cook it medium, which as we know is a little bit more than I would like my steak cooked normally. It is cutting through very, very nicely. And inside here, you can see, look at the colour of that. That is a very, very nice medium steak, that. Still pink in the middle. It's not leaking too much onto the plate, so it has been rested quite nicely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. And it looks like a nice cut as well. Rump steak can sometimes be a bit fatty, can't it? Or a bit gristly even. This doesn't seem to be at all. So let's cut a nice little piece off of here. And let's give that a try. Oh, yes. That is a really, really nice flavour. Wow. The char markings on the outside there, where it's been touched onto a hot grill, give the outside a really nice flavour. The texture inside, I'll say where it's still nicely cooked and so juicy, no gristle in there at all, is really, really nice. There's little butter on top, little herb butter. Does help with the flavour too. And just see how easily that cuts through. And I've got a pretty good knife to do it with. Let's dip this into the béarnaise sauce, which has got a very nice consistency. You can see how that's coated the steak there. It's rich, it's creamy, got that really nice aniseedy hip from the tarragon in there. Wow. I've got to say, I'm really impressed with this. Lovely big portion of really crispy fries, the onion loaf rather than onion rings, and the steak. The sauce in this little pan, nice presentation. This is a good lunch. Gotta say, that was absolutely exceptional. That steak, for a rump steak, was perfect. No fat on there at all, no gristle inside, no sinewy bits. Cooked really, really nicely. The medium cookery on there was perfect for the texture of that steak. I've left a few chips here, not because they're not good, I just want to leave a little bit of room for pudding. It's a 3-course fixed menu for $19.45. Got to try a pudding, haven't I? Mrs. Greeno, you going to have a pudding as well? She's nodding behind the camera there. So on the menu here, there are 4 different desserts we can choose from. Salted caramel profiteroles, there's ice creams or sorbet, a creme brulee and a Bramley apple pie. Alternatively, you can, if you want, have a mini dessert with a hot drink. There's a mini brownie, mini creme brulee or a mini banoffee pie you can get with a tea or a coffee to finish off. And that's all included in that $19.75. Not bad at all. So we've decided puddings are happening. Mrs. Greeno's going to go with the salted caramel profiteroles. I'm going for the Bramley apple pie with ice cream. If there's anything like the food we've had so far, we're in for a real treat to finish the meal. Right, our desserts have come. Quite a small little pile of profiteroles here, but again, you know, this is £3 basically extra on the menu, so you can't really grumble, can you? Nice little pot of chocolate sauce here, looks quite nice and thick. Give that a try. And it's warm actually, which is quite nice. So 4 little profiteroles here with a little bit of mint, a little bit of dusting of icing sugar on there. Just crack into one. Now, I'm not a big fan of profiteroles because I don't like cream, but we'll give it a try anyway. So it's coated, possibly with chocolate, possibly with some kind of salted caramel flavouring in there. Let's try it. It's actually okay. Nice caramel, kind of gooey and oozy all around. The cream is a little bit sweetened, which makes it better for me. And the profiterole itself is just a bog standard choux pastry. It's not bad, just as a little sweet thing to finish the meal. I'm only eating half of one. Don't worry, I'm not depriving Mrs. Greeno of her pudding before any of you start. She's going to eat the rest of this, and she'll try the apple pie, I'm sure. Speaking of that, I'm going to do that right now. Apple pie time. And I've got to say, I quite like this presentation. I was expecting a slice of apple pie. That's what you'd normally get, isn't it? But there's a whole one here. So a nice little pastry base on there. Topping here, covered with sugar and baked in the oven. So that kind of crisps it up a little bit. And we've got a little ball of ice cream here with, again, what might be some of that caramel sauce on. The same sort of salted caramel sauce that we got on the profiteroles there. So, once again, we'll remove the erroneous greenery and we'll get into here. So, the waiter just came over there just to check everything was all right for us. He has been absolutely brilliant. His name is Chris, Miller & Carter here in Poole. Ask for him if you ever come because he's brilliant. Right, so let's open this pie up and have a little look inside. Oh, look at that. Got lovely chunks of apple in there. Nice and sweet smell coming from it. Piping hot, there's loads of steam coming as well. Now, what I'm hoping is there's not cinnamon in here. Or if there is, at least it's very, very minimal, because I don't like cinnamon. And I'm always a bit nervous about ordering apple desserts because of that. It just ruins them. Nice and hot. Wow. The pastry is crispy on the outside, nice and soft on the inside. A little sugary crust on top of the pastry as well. Gives another little texture and a bit of sweetness. The inside, it tastes a lot like a hot Mr. Kipling apple pie. There's no cinnamon in there. It's just the apple flavour and the sweetness of the sugar. That, for me, is just about a perfect apple dessert. Nice and sweet, lots of nice texture in there. The apple is not overcooked, it still has a bite to it, and there's no cinnamon, come on. Right guys, what a great way to finish the meal those puddings were. Mrs. Greeno really enjoyed the profiteroles, also enjoyed some of the apple pie. So I'm not depriving anyone of grub like I said before, but they were really, really tasty. That apple pie, for me, was pretty much perfect. So, what do we make of Miller & Carter overall? Well, do you know what? I was coming here today expecting it to be a sort of bog standard chain experience. Obviously, Miller & Carter are all over the country. They're known for their steaks, but they do get mixed reviews. I can't see why. We've had their fixed price lunch here, less than £20 a head, and it was exceptional from start to finish. The starters were delicious. Not the biggest portion on the chicken that I had, but perfectly adequate for a little starter with a lunch. and Mrs. Greeno's calamari was really tasty. The main courses were great. That chicken that Mrs. Greeno had was cooked beautifully. Nice little sauce with it, a few little potatoes and broccoli. Again, a perfect lunch dish. My steak, the rump steak, my goodness me, I've never had a rump steak like it. It was tender, it was juicy, no gristle, no fat, and cooked beautifully. The béarnaise sauce I had with it was very, very tasty. The fries were great. The only little thing I would pick up on is the tomato was a little bit cold, but you know, that's splitting hairs, isn't it? And again, Mrs. Greeno, by the time she'd finished filming me eating, said her sauce was a little bit cold on the plate. The plate could have been warmer. Again, we're picking little tiny little faults here in an otherwise exceptional lunch. Our server, Chris, at this Miller & Carter here in Poole, what a guy. Obviously the restaurant was busier than they were expecting today. They probably could have done with another member of staff, but he did not make it feel that way. He was buzzing around, he was great, he was still chatting with people. What an asset to the team here he really is. Now, score. I mean, are we going to be harsh and nitpick and take tiny little bits off for the slightly cold bit of tomato and the plate not being hot? I don't think so. For the price we've paid, overall, £44 and 5 pence with the drinks and a 3-course meal of that quality, Miller & Carter, it's a 5 out of 5 all day long. Greeno's green light, oh yeah, foot to the floor, green light all the way. Get yourself down here. It was banging. Okay, if you've enjoyed this review of Miller & Carter here in Poole, don't forget, give me a thumbs up, does help with the channel. And if you'd like to subscribe, I'm always grateful to each and every one of you that comes and enjoys the journey with me. Right, where to next? You'll have to wait and see. I'll catch you next time.